Yeah, it was longer, but that's okay. It was good conversation. So now we're going to move on to looking to the future. Lauren started this off over the last couple of months with some good exercises and pulling some information. And now Robbie's going to take it and lead you through some discussions over the next 8 months. 8 months. So we will keep you engaged, and Lauren and Robbie will be still pulling this, trying to pull that information out. So make it easier on Robbie by contributing that information without having to drag it out. But we're excited that we're going to go through this process. You've heard some other people talk about their plans. You've heard the needs that we've got, and you've also heard the amount of money we have to make those needs a reality, and they don't match up. So let's start thinking strategically from the capital side. What are we missing to think strategically about, and what are we going to be when we grow up, and how are we going to pay for it? So we're going to need to start setting some priorities, which is going to be tough because there are a lot of needs out there, and they're all very good needs. But we've got to start prioritizing this, and then maybe targeting our funds towards those priorities instead of, sometimes it feels like we're just sticking fingers in holes and stop the leaks, and every year they come back with more and more and more. So, Robbie, it's yours.
All right, Mike. I get the pleasure of being the last thing of the day and the most exciting topic of all, strategic planning. So, but I do have in my style, I have an activity that I'm going to have you run through, and I promise it's not trivial. There's a meaning behind it. So you're all going to have to be up and moving through this activity. I've got a set of blocks at this back table here. So 5 of you can come on up to the back of the room and head to this back table. This will not take forever. Well,
I didn't touch anything that Liz is going to touch.
This could be the first person who does, you'll be my first guinea pig, then. That's perfect.
That should be the last one.
Yeah, let her be the last to touch.
So what we're going to, there is a structure that I have built that is behind that wall in the kitchen, made out of these blocks over there. And so your job is going to be to replicate exactly that structure with these blocks. Except your task is going to, the way you complete that task is I designate an individual, the first one will be Liz, who will walk behind there to take a look at that structure. She gets 30 seconds, and then she'll come back over here and share with you how to build that. And then you'll have a time frame to start to build the structure. Any questions on that so far? All right, Liz, go take a peek.
Those communication skills.
One of those little doohies.
It's a doohickey. Yes. The color.
Round.
And SpongeBob apparently.
They have to be exact, yes. The color can make a difference.
And Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, that's what we got.
All right, Liz. You can come share for 30 seconds your directions, and then let this group start to build.
All right, building our own.
Blue, yellow, blue, red, green. Blue, yellow, wait, rectangles. Blue, yellow, blue, red, green. Blue, yellow, blue, got them wrong. Blue, yellow, blue, red, green. Get them all the same size as the green and the blue. Stand them on their end.
All right, get them all the same size.
You need to have the same size.
You gotta change the yellow.
Your yellow and your red are the wrong size.
Yeah, change your red,
Yeah.
there's a long yellow.
Stand them on their end.
There you go.
Stand them on their end.
Little space between.
I'm the
A
parrot.
little more space between. A lot more space between. For the yellow, blue, red in the middle, put 2. And on the end, 2 pieces out, put them in the middle. No, you're right there. Put a yellow one next to the yellow one.
Yeah,
Yellow next to the yellow. Give him a yellow one.
We don't have a yellow.
There better be, because he's got a yellow one on the other side. And you need to
Not
manufacture.
cheating.
So you're gonna have to try
It's
this
okay,
one on
Liz,
this
it's
one.
time time to instruct is over.
No, it's
So
not. I have one
Liz-
more thing to
Liz
do.
gets to stand here.
Well, that's probably too-
Diane
that's
now.
too fat. You
Diane
probably
will
need
travel
to
into the
get one.
kitchen. You get 30 seconds, Diane, to look at the structure and come back and add to this
So I
project.
can't add to it.
Remember, well, you're now part of the group.
But I already know what I saw.
Exactly.
All right.
Oh, she is,
Yeah.
now she
When
is
she returns,
invaluable.
yes. And
She knows
she can
what
make
we're doing.
changes to what you have begun.
Have another blue in here.
Another blue.
We don't have another long yellow one, so
Well,
we
I'm not certain what was on the back, because
homemade
what I
one.
could see on the front looked like it was the same thing on the front and back.
Is Diane actually?
You got about
coming
5
back?
seconds, Diane.
I think she's helping them
Got
pack
you left.
sandwiches.
Three of the rectangular
Wait.
Pack sandwiches.
Three of the rectangular long.
Is that
What
correct?
color?
Did that change?
No, that didn't change. Oh boy,
Is
now
that
it's
way?
screwed up.
No, you're not.
Three rectangular long, the same color?
Will you bring me a?
Didn't I say green?
No.
I think it's three green, right, that's right, Liz, that's right, you go, girl.
Find a third one.
Somebody's gotta have a third one.
That's what I don't think that's the same length. I think this is a smaller one.
Then,
And I think that's it.
let's see.
Cool.
Then I think it's it three blue circular ones on top of the green ones.
What color was over there?
Whoever goes in there next, check it out. There's,
We're out of blue
we need another
circles.
blue, there's a blue circle right there.
Oh.
And then there's two yellow ones.
Bingo. I love that guy.
Oh my lordy, red, blue, green or something, I don't remember what you said.
You each have a piece of the puzzle, all right? You got 10 more seconds to instruct.
Me?
Yes.
There's two yellow brown ones on the end.
These yellow?
There
Yeah, I'm
was.
thinking I need to get that one
That's my
again.
instructions.
These go on top. That's what I was trying to.
We had
those
two
ones-
And then the green
duplicated.
ones go on top of those. And then the three blue brown ones go on top of
Do
those.
they fall on the floor?
I picked them up.
Here's a blue one.
Bigger in there.
And then there's another one over there.
So
Where
green
was the flat, the long
rectangle,
Of what color?
That's how.
green
They're all right there.
long rectangle.
Are you sure you didn't have some?
Positive. All right, your time is up. Lynn, it's your
I
go.
know that these are going on top.
Take a pic, make sure you know what this looks like.
We gotta
and
have
then
the
put
got
what's
one
in
more
there.
bill.
We got something we didn't. Did we,
I swear to you,
did we reuse the short ones?
I'm not here to make your life miserable.
Whoa.
We got three short ones.
Okay. All right, then put the three round blue ones on top. And they should be
That's
kind
where
of
the
straight.
Jenga thing came in.
They're a little crooked from here, but whatever.
Well, they're a lot crooked.
Your comfort seat.
That's right.
And yellow goes on the far end?
Yeah, and I kind of think they were on the ground.
I was thinking there were, yeah, instead
I
of
think they're on the
Ready,
ground.
Lynn?
Yeah, I think those
And
yellow.
Lynn gets the 30 seconds to share it off the
on the
field.
ground,
I hadn't even
guys.
done the math.
Lynn, what's going on here?
Left and right, you got
Oh,
a
yeah.
red square.
Yeah, no worries.
Red square.
But weren't those yellow ones on the ground, Liam?
Yeah.
Not on
I
top?
like to blame everything on him too.
What was on the
I
red?
looked at what we
What's
had
on,
from.
what's on?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, on the left and on the right of the yellow, red square, red square, on that side, red square on top of the yellow.
On top of the yellow. Oh, these
Going
stay
up.
down there?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Red square.
Red square on that side. And then on top of that one there, that Steve's putting on a green one, and on the other side, a red one. And then two of these little arches right here in the center. No, in the center.
No, you said the red one goes there
Oh,
first.
yeah, red on top of that. I was ahead of it.
Arch is in the
The other
center.
center.
Yeah.
What color's the orange?
Left center.
Red, two of those, right there.
On top of each other?
You got 10 more seconds and
No,
then it's
beside
Lynn's
it.
turn
Beside
to
each other.
instruct.
Beside it, side by side.
And I think there's a yellow one, a long yellow one that goes on top, or a long, no, blue, a long blue.
Use the resources.
All right, Blake, your time, 30 seconds to soak it up.
That ain't right, that blue ain't right.
What is right? We can still
Blake,
work
look at
while
the
it's
bottom
gone.
on the ends and see if we got a rectangle or something
This is
else.
not a Taj Mahal.
Everything but the blue is right.
You don't mind if I?
Which blue? All right, what does go
I
there?
don't, that's for the place to give us that instruction.
He needs to look at the end and see if the blues on the bottom are wrong, and then change those.
Yeah, Blake needs to look at the ends to see if the
You're
blue.
going next. Look at him. Look at what
It
both
gets
ends on the
harder as you
bottom.
go up, because you got to remember
They're
what's
seeing
below.
those yellows are on the ground instead of on the
That's-
blue.
Okay.
That's killing.
That's
them.
why I say it, I think there's a blue
Killing
round
Diane.
underneath that yellow one.
Killer.
I can't think of anything else because of that.
Well, now, he hasn't given us any parameters.
That's right, you got a camera.
I thought he did say you couldn't have a camera.
I didn't say that at all.
Oh, well, when I was over there, I was told I couldn't have a camera.
Yes, but you never
You
used
heard
the
what
one
you
who would
heard.
think about that. The rule challenger there.
I heard no
All
rules.
right, Blake.
All right.
But
Miss
you would
Dubois
think
said
that
I
they-
couldn't have a camera.
First off, we got way more material than was used in there.
That's correct.
Okay.
But you don't have to build what's over there.
Okay.
Construction duties.
No, it's yeah. I have no idea. You've got green arches here in the middle, but see, that's not, the height's wrong.
Well, that's what Diane's question was, do the yellow ones go on the ground?
Steve gets a chance to wrap up in a minute. That's why we leave the chair for last.
I think the yellow should have been out here.
We've,
That was Diane's question, is this supposed to be like this?
I think it's still
no, the
beside you.
at the very bottom of the left is a blue square. It's blue. It's blue.
Square, and then, okay.
Put that one.
You got 10 seconds and then Steve's chance.
The both are in
And
there.
then we gotta get it right.
Is your battery charged?
That, but see, that's supposed
No
to.
comment.
Yeah, that is.
But we need something high there, and then you've got,
Is it supposed to be leaning?
blue, green on top.
You gotta change the right hand side to match
Challenge
the left
to
hand
your
side.
retention.
I do know
I
that.
can't wait for my turn.
But these two are out of spot, so.
Did you get to go back
That's
to
the
the end?
Yeah.
No, but I'm gonna go.
Oh.
I'm gonna get out of here. We'll see if it's out of here.
How you gonna bring it out here that far apart?
That,
We're gonna find out.
this is,
You'll see.
that's green, and then you got these on top with two half circles on top.
All
I
right,
didn't know,
Steve.
I did not realize we didn't have the
Chance.
far edge.
Well, those don't
off.
go there, I
Come
don't
on,
think.
head
I
it
don't
up.
remember seeing
You
it.
can do
This
it.
is it, your final opportunity.
I do know that.
That's gotta change. This and that need to be the same, but I don't think it's a little one, I think it's a big one.
And the top has grass
It's this one and this one. There.
and another green. Where'd our green triangle go? And that goes-
15 seconds, Steve.
and that goes on top.
No,
No, because he took a picture.
that's fine.
Miss Dubois said I was not allowed to take a picture. Don't throw it back
You're
in my
not.
face.
Okay.
Come on now, guys.
But I usually
This-
listen to you.
But he's the last one though, right? So I mean,
You need help?
that's it or done.
Nope, there's.
20%
Okay, so
of the
that's
group
supposed to
doing
be a
80%
blue
of the
one
work.
down here with,
But it's a small one.
no, it's not. It's a taller one. And then that is a green square
All of it.
here.
Feel your pain.
We still got
You got 45 seconds to make that happen.
45 seconds.
If you don't,
I'm
you're
gonna
all
come
off the
supervise.
floor.
Ah.
I know these.
Yeah, I know this one piece is right. Now how much further we can go? And then we got a yellow.
No, we were looking at
This
that last
size
night when they were trying to set up the room.
And what did that back there, which is bridged by green line. And then in the middle is two blue. The medium, yeah. Yeah, and then there's a green across the top of that one. And then there's blue on top of that.
We have a picture.
And we gotta have two red ones.
will.
red things, the fat red thing, yeah, that, and another one of those, and another green,
Look, there, see?
and another blue.
Yeah, we'd rather use.
Guess who's meeting?
You would, wouldn't you?
Guess what precious soul's coming?
Another blue on top of that, and then the little bridges, we got
Yeah,
a
the arches won't fit. if it's
I was
not-
like, well,
two red, where's the red bridges? Oh, we can move them.
Those slides don't go right. So you have it?
Not quite.
We're getting close, and then a green bridge. Ooh, we got a problem here. Well, that's because there's only one.
Houston.
Oh, I need the short blue thing.
Houston, your green one should be on top of your yellow there at your left hand.
You know how that goes.
Well, that's not working either.
Look right here, he's got the green on the yellow
Well,
and then the red.
and that's not exactly the way it was.
Oh, did you change it on?
Yeah.
No,
Yes,
this
you
is,
did.
oh, the top is the only thing that fell over.
Yeah.
They're accusing you of that.
Mhm.
Well, wait a minute, when I put
Pretty
the,
accusatory from the beginning.
I'm telling you.
Your
when
green
I
and
put
red
that
are
on
mixed
top
up.
of that.
Steve's got a
Oh,
picture of it.
he's
Look at
got
picture
the
live.
extra, these extra
We're
pieces
fixing it.
up here. And yellow.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. And it
And
just
then
won't
we
sit
can
right.
do
didn't realize
that.
it fell
Well,
off.
that goes on top, that's your layer too low.
All right, it's gonna frustrate the hell out of you, but you gotta sit down.
Those two
That
are
is-
reversed.
You're right.
Come have a seat.
I just wanted to participate.
The minutes have reflected. Yeah.
Everyone participated.
Okay. So,
Jenga is.
is so what was, tell me a difficulty you experienced in this process.
Memory loss.
Memory, memory retention,
Or loss.
what else?
Be able to describe something you saw that you weren't currently looking at.
All right, so
Maybe that's the
ability
memory, but I mean, to articulate it.
to clearly communicate what you see to someone else so they can do it. What else? That's it, your memory and your ability to communicate. Those were issues.
Thanks for pointing out we're old.
I think since we knocked it over twice,
If somebody thought of the camera sooner,
Mhm.
it might have gone better.
Options are there, resources, using your resources available. Yeah. What was successful? What part of this did you feel was successful?
No, we all played some nicely together.
Team, yeah, teamwork is good.
You did get along well. There was no name calling. That's good.
No pushing or shoving.
You all participated.
Trying to all get input.
Not externally, right?
I heard like a,
Who would you say in your group communicated most effectively?
My camera.
And by extension, you?
Not necessarily.
Who do you think communicated, gave directions, was clearest about their directions?
This is red, blue, green,
Yeah.
whatever color she had came out.
Wasn't me, I can tell you
Yeah, we started off on it.
Yeah, nobody would answer me about the yellow, so nobody helped me. Turns out I was wrong.
So tell me a little bit about, so what was it about Liz's communication that you thought was good?
I think we need another one, and then they would listen to me.
Well, I thought the yellow was on the table, but it's not. It's actually on those blocks. That's where I was not remembering correctly.
Well, I didn't know what was here, so I saw colors of rectangles,
Yep.
but I didn't know there were two sizes of rectangles. So therefore, it took a while to figure out it was a shorter rectangle. But that's just because I didn't know what the options were, because it's hard to tell when you just look at this, the
So
options.
it's your frame of reference when you went in there, yes.
I went in to get, I went in to get the bottom row, and I tried not to look at anything else. So my reference of length of those was different. That makes sense?
It does. If you had to do this, if we start this process all over again, what
I
would you
take
do
a picture
different?
right at the beginning and tell Pam do what, leave me alone. I'm gonna blame you all day.
Take a picture, take a picture. So using your resources, use more resources that are available to you. which is always an option. There are lots of resources available to us. So this structure is in our mind, and for the process of what we're going through now for the next 8 months, this is your strategic plan. What you don't know, it's already built, it's there, work is being done, it's happening already, but people see it from their perspective. So Liz sees what she sees. We have our own parts and our own views and our own understandings, but from our limited background and where we come from, and that's what we bring to the table. And it's difficult to try to explain to someone who maybe doesn't have our understanding and our background to get them to where we are so that we all see the same thing. It takes a lot of time. You can't do it in a minute.
Well, one of the things that I found interesting about this little project here was that if each of us, each 5 of us, had picked a layer, Diane, you get the first layer, Steve, you get the second layer, so on and on, then this would be, look, there's 5 layers there. And this would be like any project. You can't start at the top and work your way down. You gotta start at the bottom, work your way up. And that is part of the part of your game to me. You can't look at that whole thing.
It's a lot.
There's no way you can look at that whole picture right there and come in here and put that whole picture together. You got layers. What we do is we plan in layers and work your way up. But that was part of our instruction. We didn't have that part.
So what we call that in the facilitation world is you needed to make a plan.
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity to make a plan. You could have taken your first minute when Liz came back and said, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's take a step back. Let's don't jump right in at the beginning. Let's assess the situation. Make a plan and see what happens. You can do that. Sometimes we don't have that ability to take that time, though. You do have to make a decision pretty quickly, given what you know at that exact moment. But this is not one of those times. We've got 9 months to work through this process to make it right. And so our goal here is to take that wall down so that everybody can see that structure and can clearly understand what's happening in Cabarrus County and can find out where everybody needs to plug in and what's most important. What is the base? What do we need to keep? What needs to happen so that the rest of it can build right on top of it? That's the goal of what's going to happen over the next 9 months, and that people can clearly understand what that looks like and not get frustrated. And you guys represented that pretty well when they don't understand in the beginning, and can give us time to bring people along to that process.
And if the bottom layer is not right, then everything else will be wrong.
You know, well, as you saw, it was crooked. It fell over twice. Yes, you got to get your base right. The base is important. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, before we move into getting some more information from you, think about the great cathedrals in Europe. Have any of you been and toured some of the cathedrals in Europe before? How long do you think it takes to build some of those cathedrals? How long do you think it took to build some of them?
Some of them are still under construction after hundreds of years.
Hundreds of
Never
years.
finished yet.
Some of them never got finished.
Yeah, that's
And-
what I mean, there's one in Spain that's been under construction for what, 1,000 years or something? And they're still working on it?
It's a process, right? So Notre Dame, I happen to have some information because I prepared for this. But Notre Dame took 300 years to build, approximately. 300 years. Westminster Abbey, 500 years to build. The Strasbourg, France Cathedral, 200 years to build. It's a process. And those people who are building that were part of that, right? So I got a story to tell. So there's this guy walking through what we now know as France. Long time ago, in this open area, hundreds of men were working in that field, sweating, hot in the sun, and he wanted to know what's happening. So he comes to this one guy who is just dripping from sweat and not very happy about what's going on. He says, hey, what's happening here? What's going on? And he's like, man, can't you see what's happening? I'm laying stone. Leave me alone, I'm busy. And he's like, okay. So he starts walking around and stalling. There's people going around, there's people grunting, some people doing other things. He doesn't understand what's happening in this big, huge area with all these men messing around in the field. So he goes to another guy. Says, hey, what's going on here? What are you doing? And that guy's frustrated too. He's like, can't you see what's happening here? I'm building a wall. Leave me alone. And so he says, okay. He keeps wandering around a little bit more, and this one guy catches his eye. This guy, for some whatever reason, he's had a smile on his face. And so he's like, I'm gonna go up to him and said, hey, can you tell me what you're doing here? And the guy says, I have to write this down. He says, I'm building a great cathedral. I'm building a monument to God. So what's the difference? That guy had the vision. That guy would never would have lived to see that cathedral finished. His grandkids probably never lived to see it finished. Never hear the music in it, never hear the messages that were shared in it. But he knew his part, and he knew what he was doing. His part of that great vision to build this monument, this great cathedral. It wasn't just, I'm laying stone. It wasn't just, I'm constructing a wall. And he had that vision, and that vision was shared to him, and it showed him what he was doing. That's what's important here. This whole process starts with that vision. And we have one. Cabarrus County has a vision and a mission and goals that they've come up with, and we've worked through those already. And I'm not here to say those are bad or good or great or horrible, but we need to start somewhere. And so I just wanted to get some information from you. If you're thinking, we did some good work last night with a gentleman who was here talking about where we were 30 years ago and where we are today, and a little bit about what we look like in 30 years from now. And I don't really care about a time frame right now. I just want to I want to hear from you when you think about your vision for Cabarrus County. What words come to your mind? You all ran for an office, because I was here, I voted. You all ran for an office on a platform. You had something you wanted to do, something you wanted to change, a difference you wanted to make in Cabarrus County. And I'm not saying that needs to be the vision of the strategic plan, but that gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. What is your vision for Cabarrus County? What would you like to see? Tell me about it. Educated workforce. So you got people who are working and people who are educated.
I think I'd like to see a place that people live because they want to live here, and it's not just because we're next to Mecklenburg County and people are commuting. You know, that we stand on our own merits.
A destination residence.
Yeah.
And with that, I think having a sense of community.
I think also citizen mobility.
Can you turn on your lights?
Sorry.
Yeah, citizen mobility, being able to get our citizens around.
Okay.
Leave it on.
Yeah.
You said jobs, but I think that is one of the specific, to have the jobs available in the county to be able to do these, to live here independent of
In a
Mecklenburg.
wide swath, from the professional to the just solid.
And
Which means
however you
affordable housing.
choose to add that on, to have opportunities for our young people to remain in the community and not have to move away for jobs.
Did you write that down?
I've got Diane's affordable
Okay.
housing. Let me tell you. That way you'll know what I'm writing up in there. We got your sense of community, we got your jobs that are located here.
A sense of place, a sense of
So what does that
we
mean?
belong here and we have fun here.
So define fun.
Well, fun is different for everybody involved. I mean, you want to have not just a job or just, you know, that goes to we have parks and we have libraries and we have services so that you have fun or you have enjoyment, or I'm not certain the right word.
Activities that go
Sense
to
of
a quality of
community.
life.
Where you give and you get.
Yeah, and I think to expand on the fun part, just like you said, for some people, parks are fun. For some people, jogging is fun. For some people, cultural activities are fun. And to have
those options.
all those options, or as many of those options available.
All right. And I didn't get clarification when we talked about citizen mobility. What do you mean by that?
Rapid transit. High-speed rail.
Transit, transportation, transit.
And we know that the rate we're growing
as I mentioned earlier, and it's on one of our things from last night, traffic is a big issue, is the way it is in the county now. And whatever part we can have in making people get from place A to place B economically and efficiently, the better we're gonna be. All of us.
Well, it's like an analysis I heard of the events last weekend in Charlotte, comparing Charlotte to Los Angeles. And in Charlotte, the participants could walk everywhere they needed to go. And not true in Los Angeles, and so that was one of the big pluses. And I'm not sure we're quite there from a walkability standpoint, or any other transportation.
Maybe we can get some of President Trump's money he was going to use for the rapid transit in California that he just watched off. Maybe we can get a chunk of that. Help us with our transit.
Being able to still feel like we have the best of both worlds. You know, we have a nice style of life that's a little easier than what's at Charlotte, but anything and everything you want is 30 minutes away. So being able to maintain that balance.
I think we heard last night too how we have a unique setting where we still have a rural section of the county that we don't want to just mow down and pave over, you know. So I think to take care of having a vision of not just being a, you know, sprawl from Harrisburg to Salisbury, and what would be the other direction? Richfield?
Well, and my vision would be, just as you, to retain that, what Diane just said, we want to keep the things that we've got and then have all those other things available at arm's length. So we can go to Charlotte if we want to take advantage of some of those things, but always know we can come back home in a different environment.
I think finding the right project for the grant, what's it called now? The grounds at Common or Common Grounds or?
Oh, the grounds at Concord, yeah.
Yeah, finding the right
The
project for
former
that.
Philip
that
Morris property.
enhances our vision. Not that we-
And looking
The
back,
change maker right there.
Yeah.
yeah, looking back on the Amazon second headquarters experiment, which is what it appears to me to have been, that sounded really attractive, you know, when you talk about tax base, jobs, and those kind of things. But then when you
everything
really
else.
look at it, saying, you know, I don't think we want that in our community. That's transformative, but not, it conflicts with all
Not to
these
keep
other
us where we
things.
want to be.
Yeah.
It's somewhat out of our hands, but how about trying to help figure out something to do with the Stonewall Jackson property? I mean, it's it's awful. I mean,
Well, and the way that I would transform that into a vision, my vision would be to have a General Assembly that understood local issues, because they're holding the cards on that one, state government.
So your vision for Cabarrus County is a county that is supported by the North Carolina General Assembly.
Yeah,
Good relationship.
yes.
When you think about businesses and work, we talked about an educated workforce. That's kind of all we said about work so far in the county, and that we had jobs here. Do you have a vision for what that looks like?
Like to raise our average salaries. Whatever
Bring
that would
salaries
be.
up, well, median home incomes are up. I mean, people can afford to live here and work here.
Well, we can say that, but how does that, I mean, as we looked at the charts last night, we're way up there in the state on income. Certainly not at the top, but, so if we change that, does that change the complexion of the type of people that we have living in the community? Does that crowd some of the lower income people out?
That's a good point.
I mean, that's what we hear in cities right now, the gentrification and prosperity is pushing the folks away.
Again, we want the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I think in some respects, we need more self-awareness amongst our citizens in the county. It is very enlightening when we talk to people from other places and how they view us. I don't think that we are always aware and appreciative of the assets and resources that we have. And when I hear people from Davidson say, oh, you know, we come to Cabarrus County because that's where we can catch the train. We can't do that anywhere else, and just similar type things like that.
I think also my vision for Cabarrus County, as far as the leadership in all municipalities, including the county, and that is to continue and even enhance the collaboration we have with each other.
Definitely.
Because, see, that's something that hadn't been going on up until just a few years ago. And so we're not going to always be here.
That changes with any election.
And it's going to change. It could change.
Right.
But I would like to see that continue as my vision, because working together, we can accomplish so much more.
Well, that gives us a competitive edge, I think, amongst,
Yeah.
over other people that don't have that.
You know, I didn't grow up here, so sometimes there's some nuance that I miss. And then somebody will mention something to me that it'll be like a light that goes off. And somebody told me the other day, and I never really thought about it. And they said, because we were talking about the summit meetings and whatnot, and they said the fact that the city councils from Concord and Kannapolis get in the same room and talk about things that benefit are mutually beneficial was completely unheard of not very long ago.
Right.
And you know, whatever the deep-seated, I don't know if rivalry is the right word, between the two municipalities, you know, is lost on me because I didn't grow up here. But that, when somebody told me that, I thought, wow, this really is bigger and better than even I thought it was. And I think it's tremendous that we do it.
At one time was, I would say, just as much so with the county, sitting in the same room with either one of them.
Well, I was thinking about the other day, it took 3 times to merge the chambers,
Right.
the Concord and Kannapolis chamber.
Is that
Finally, on the
right?
3rd time, after how many years of trying?
A long time, long time.
Wow.
And see, I think, you know, to me, it would be a travesty for us to lose the momentum that we have established with collaboration with these municipalities. If we was to lose that, we would be going backwards. And by continuing and even enhancing that, it's going to help us to move forward. And that's what we all need to be concentrating on, is moving forward. Because whether we are here or whether we're not, forward is coming. You can't back up. Backward is gone, but forward is coming.
I think as the longer we can set the example and set the stage, the greater chance of success. It's kind of, you know, like I was saying to somebody the other, when I make some comment to my employees about, well, what used to be across the street, and it is amazing to me that none of them remember anything being different across the street. And I'm talking about Cannon Mills.
Right.
It's been 10 years that the research campus has been there, and that's the way they remember it. They don't remember any of that before.
And do they need to remember it?
Well, we don't want to forget our history.
So maybe understanding that each person is starting at a different point.
True,
All
yes.
of our perspectives are, we're
Right.
coming in this at different places. Like that last night, the 90s, you know, we're the millennials. A lot of us were like, I was 3 years old at that time. So
Oh,
I
good
really
Lord,
couldn't-
really? I move we adjourn.
Point of order. Point of order.
Well,
But I
I mean,
agree.
it's no real big mystery that everybody's historical perspective
Right.
starts the day they were born. I mean, you know, that's just kind of the way it is, but you're right. We have we have a long, rich history here. We learned a lot about that, or talked about it some last night. So sort of incorporating that in to what we do here, either, you know,
Well, it
promoting
goes
green
back
space or whatever.
to what one of you said, I think it was you, about the relationships, and Lynn, whoever said that. We remember when they weren't good.
Right.
You know, so we value and appreciate that. But those people who were born 3 or whatever it was she said, you know, that don't, that's right, 3 years ago, they don't remember that, take it for granted, you know, and don't get that it's gone in the snap of a finger unless a concerted effort. Because it just looks like it just happens, and it doesn't just
Right.
happen. It's a lot of effort to get
Or
there.
if that's the norm for them, and they don't think about.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They've never seen it
if
any other way.
We create a new normal that they sustain. But does that happen if they don't appreciate
Right, if they don't know
the
where you came
value?
from.
Yeah.
Right.
that it could go away quickly?
It's just, what is your definition of appreciate? And what does that look like to
Right.
everybody else? And that could be tied into this whole, that was a good term, self-aware citizens. That we, citizens, not only understand their perspective and what informs them from their history, but also understands and appreciates yours and yours and yours. And not that I'm trying to make mine yours, but we appreciate that. And we know what that perspective looks like. You've been talking about that a lot this morning, or after. We got a lot of things that have come up on the wall so far when you're thinking about your value, your vision for Cabarrus County. We've talked a lot about community and people, and a little bit about workforce, slightly about education. Is there anything that's missing in this value, in this vision that you have here for Cabarrus County?
A big one for me is more citizen involvement in government. If, as an elected official, and we talk about the list of projects and needs and things that we would like to do, and we have to pare that down as to what we can afford. I don't ever feel like, I assume that every citizen wants their taxes to be as low as possible. And I'd say I'm probably right in most cases, but we don't ever really get the chance, we don't get that much feedback. I mean, sometimes things come down the road when I say, yeah, I would pay more taxes for that. Yeah, if we could guarantee, let's say, some educational achievement for every young person in Cabarrus County, yeah, I'd pay more taxes for that. But we don't ever get we don't get enough involvement from the citizens to ask that question.
So I'm thinking, so that citizen involvement to you means...
Nobody has written a letter to the editor saying, I'd like for my taxes to be increased. Or
So.
But I mean, if we had a way to have those conversations, so, you know, what is important to you and what are you willing to pay for? Or are you okay with us cutting out these programs in exchange for not raising taxes?
So opportunity for regular citizen input,
Yeah,
that's part of the norm,
right,
not just when we're doing a strategic plan.
right, right. I mean, our system works, you know, I mean, you elect people that you think will make decisions the way you think are appropriate. Then if they don't, then you just kick them out and let's try somebody else. And I mean, that works okay, but it's not real efficient to keep restarting all the time.
You're each gonna get flooded with emails.
What else?
That'd
What's
be
missing in
okay.
this vision? Anything else you want to make sure is in here? Not that we're not writing the vision today. We're not changing a vision today. This is your opportunity to provide that input. And you'll see the plan later of how this process will go. But this is your opportunity to help to guide and provide some of this input here. When you think of education, you talked about an educated workforce. Is there any other vision you have for what that looks like in Cabarrus County?
Liz, that's you.
She your go-to education person. Think about it.
I'm not sure this answers the question, but a vision that I would have would be that we would have the opportunity to really do something impactful and really excel in a particular area in regards to education, to one of those innovative, perhaps it might be experimental, projects that steps outside the box. You know,
So we have a
and-
niche.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're always trying to keep up, you know, from a funding standpoint, how do we make sure we're not teaching school students in the parking lot, so we don't ever have a chance to really step outside the box and explore those things.
I'd like to know that every child and their parent understood the opportunities, like we talked about earlier in the career, the technology areas and the trades and the money that can be made and the opportunities there, as opposed to for your education, make the one that was best for them. But you hear that conversation all the time, but and maybe it happens, I'm not in the schools, so I don't know. But knowing that early enough to be able to make those decisions and follow that career path and perhaps save yourself some time and money depending on what your path was.
So you're saying parents?
I just said parents and kids, because, you know, a lot of times the parents think you have to go do this, or, you know, and so getting everybody on the same page and understanding.
Early on?
I mean, I guess, I don't know, I'm not in the education, but I feel like earlier on would be good. But Liz is the educator.
Well,
We all were students at one point in time.
I mean, one of the problems with career decisions is
Excuse me.
the parents or the grandparents. Because they tell their children, I used to work in a dirty mill, and I don't want you to work in a dirty mill. And that's not what manufacturing is, but it's so hard to get that understood, that things have changed so much. And that's not just here, I mean, that's all over the place. And the skill level that you need, and it's just, I mean, that is my full-time job. It's just very hard to get that information out. People are so busy, parents are so busy in their own lives trying to make ends meet, especially if they're in that free or reduced lunch continuum. They're working as hard as they can work, but they're not making a livable wage in some cases. And so the high school kid is the one going home taking care of the siblings. And you have children raising children, and this has gone on for a long time. I mean, this is nothing new, and it's not just new for here. You get kids, I mean, we've got kids in all kinds of CTE programs, and when you get them, they blossom. But now and when you talk to them about how expensive college is, then it's easy to say, Rowan Cabarrus Community College is so much less expensive than that, you know, than a four-year school that you can't afford and stuff. But it's just, I go down to 5th grade. I have 5 schools to cover now. Don't have my microphone at all. I have 5 schools to cover, 5th grade through 12th grade. And I have to survey. I just got through making phone calls to last year's graduates to find out what they're doing now. So I'm really 5 through 13 for one person. And I'm in the smallest schools in the district.
So it will forever be, I don't know, I mean, everybody's trying to figure out how to break that or break into that. So we do offer lots of opportunities, and it's just, let me ask this. How many of you, when you were 14 years old, are now doing what you thought you would be doing when you were 14? Susan Farrington, put your hand down. I'm just kidding. But I mean, seriously, you want a 14-year-old to say, hey, I want to go into nursing, or I want to go into healthcare, and don't expect them to change. And we know, I mean, they're not going to work 30 years for the same company, and the same jobs aren't out there. So you're always chasing something. Technology in the schools, we're a couple versions behind because we can't afford the latest software or the latest equipment to train them on. So it didn't help at all, but I'm just saying it is a huge thing, and we're trying to get. I mean, I have friends that are in elementary school. In kindergarten, they're talking to them about careers where everybody wants to be a police officer and a firefighter. But you know, how many people? I use this example. How many people do you know of when they were in junior high school said, I want to go work at the Water and Sewer Authority and deal with sludge? You do not believe that either. But they're great jobs there. I have them come and talk to the students because they're great jobs there and they're chemists. But you don't think about those things because you don't, the parents and the grandparents have a huge influence over where we're going.
So we need to have an education system that is limber enough to reflect the population that's going through it at that point in time.
Yeah, but
And if you think millennials or something, wait till Gen Z's coming through next.
I would say awful.
I mean,
I have one.
what'd you say?
I'm not gonna say they're all, yeah, I have one, I know, yeah.
I have two, but then I'm just saying, I'm dealing with Gen Z now. We're just talking about what millennials are doing in the workplace. Gen Z, they've graduated high school. They're in college right now, and they think differently from the millennials, who think differently from the Gen Xers, who think differently from all us baby boomers in the room.
And we're gonna be begging for us back then.
Yep.
Well, but that really is a bigger conversation that we can have. Steve's right. If we can figure out something that we sort of think outside the box on educationally and do it well, I mean, that would be incredible because, I mean, I'm not sure how much, and really Mike nailed it last night, just almost an off-the-cuff comment of how much longer can you build high schools on 100 acres? Well, you can't. I mean, you really, so how much longer is it going to be? Well, we're going to get on a bus, we're going to ride over there, we're going to be there 8 hours, and then come home. Good grief, you look at the numbers we saw this morning, just the continuation to keep it the same was it either $5 or $8 million? That's a lot of money just to say we're not going to improve or do anything. We're just going to keep the status quo. Holy cow. So, you know, that's, when I was on the school board, I got sort of fond of saying that at some point in time, we can't just put the kids on the conveyor belt in kindergarten and expect them to hop off in 12th grade like they've always done before. And that's why, thankfully, Liz and Lynn and a lot of people that came before me did the PLC and the early college. Some of those things that we are seeing are being very successful, and it'd be nice to figure out a way to duplicate some of that stuff because there's a lot of kids that model just doesn't work for them, and we're just going to keep throwing money down the hole, and we're, you know, maybe we get a return on 70%, but that means 30% we're losing out the back door. And that's not sustainable. You can't continue with that. So anyway, that's a very big, large statewide / national conversation. But if we could find, that's great. If we found something that we could do here, that'd be a nice legacy to have, actually.
And I think a lot of the academies, early college to me is the best thing ever. I wish every high school could follow an early college format.
the flexibility that they have at the early college and what they're able to get those students to do is crazy. I mean, it's so phenomenal, but you're limited. I mean, there's one row in Cabarrus that they've got 2 sites here, but you're still very limited in that model and how to make that model work. And then we've got the academies at all the schools. Those are great opportunities. But you know what? If I want to do culinary to go to Hickory Ridge, which is at the wrong location in the district, in my humblest of opinion, I said it when it was being built, Hickory Ridge, they don't have students who are going to work in the hospitality industry for minimum wage. So it's there, but if I want to go there because I want to do culinary, I have to provide my own transportation. They don't, if you're IB, we'll do a hub and I'll get you there. But if you want to go to Cox Mill for IT, or if you want to go to Concord for fire, you have to come in as a 9th grader and you have to provide your own transportation. And that's very limiting.
A little unrealistic.
It limits it. I mean, the majority of the kids, I'm sure they had the number that they shared, but the majority of the kids the parents can't get them there. I mean, you got both parents working. And then A.L. Brown is working as hard as they can work, but it's not like they're not even able to share with somebody else. They got that. I mean, they're bulging at the seams, and look at all the construction that's gone on that campus. That really big technology wing that's 3 stories tall or 4, and all of that was at. I mean, there's loads of things that have gone on there, but they're busting at the seams now. You want to build them a new high school and have 2 high schools in Kannapolis City Schools? I don't know. If some way, I don't know how this even happens, but some way if we can truly figure out from our employers what they're needing and figure out a way to match that, then I think that would be a huge thing to do. If you talk to construction industry, they are clamoring for it. But then if we hit a recession, now you got people who don't have jobs. All of our transportation, we have loads of transportation companies here because of where we're located, right north of Charlotte. And they can't find truck drivers or warehouse people, and some of those jobs really, really pay well. But bless you.
Excuse me.
I didn't say it, but I have heard it said that from other educators, so it's not my quote, don't give it to me, but I'll repeat it, that the connection between education and business is not as strong in this county as in other counties. I don't know I didn't get any examples, I just overheard a conversation. So how to better connect, ask employers for the needs, how to better connect our K through 14 school system with the employers that are here or the employers that we want to recruit in order to diversify, a true partnership, in order to better diversify the economy. We got hit so bad because we didn't have a diversified economy. Now, I'd argue that we really don't either. We just shifted to hospitality to some degree. And transportation, maybe. I don't know without looking at numbers, so.
Thanks, Liz. That was
Look, you called her out,
That's
there's
a whole lot.
Don't call me out.
Careful
I mean, if I didn't
what you
do
ask
this
for.
all the time, nccareers.org is a good website, by the way. I think I shared it with Steve. Did you? And I know Mike, I think I sent it to y'all. There's all kinds of data on there all across the state.
Well, nationally, the couple of sessions I've been to, it's a national statistic, but still an observation that 85% of the jobs in 30 years don't even exist today. 85% of the jobs in 30 years, in 2050, they don't even exist today. So how do you educate for that?
Yeah,
How do
you
plan
come
for
up
that?
with something that'll block this at every single school, you'll make millions off of school districts.
It's illegal.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm just saying, it's an everyday battle to get high school kids to look at a future.
instead of just going day to day and enjoying life. I don't know. Enjoyed life in high school too, but, huh?
And Snapchat.
Yeah, all of those.
So that was a positive conversation. This is good though. We needed this information because this helps us to draft a vision. And you got to know the good and the bad. You got to know where you want to be. You got to understand the obstacles. You got to be realistic about it. You can't set a vision that's not achievable. But still, you have to have a vision that is inspiring too, and got to know what that looks like. So thank you for helping to start this process. And this is not all you're going to do, believe me. But we needed to get some of your input here and now to inform what's going to happen next. We have like 15 minutes, so that's all right. Take one of
I'm
these.
not sure exactly how to say it, but we've talked about the relationship to Charlotte. I think that it's important for us to be players in the regional process, to be included and to be informed, which sometimes I think the tendency is to kind of be separated. Is that link is important.
Yes. You got to be able to play together in the sandbox.
Well, I mean, just like a couple of years ago when the National Association of Counties were in Charlotte, I said to one of the Mecklenburg County Commissioners, just in case you don't realize, Charlotte Motor Speedway and Concord Mills are not in Mecklenburg County. I'm truly not quite sure
A lot of people don't know that.
that he should have known it. Yeah.
So what I've just passed out to you is just some information about, this is going to help to guide us as well as we start working on a visioning for this process here. And looking at what we're going to have for a vision for Cabarrus County. These are the things that people look, you think about the guy who was working in the hot sun building that cathedral. I mean, yes, there were days he probably did not want to be there. And there were days when he probably felt like those other guys felt and said, today all I'm doing is building a wall. But then more days than not, he gets it. He's building the cathedral. There is a goal, but there needs to be that inspiration behind it. And does that exist in Cabarrus County? And that's not an answer for me to make it. I'm not making that decision or answer right now. But this is some information to help share with you about what visions look like. This is not new news. Nothing is new here. But we need to create something and have something that is compelling to an alternate to where we are right now. So what is our alternate to right now? And that we can get there. And that vision is there. I mean, that guy who was building that wall would never see it, ever. But he knew it was going to happen. And it didn't stop him from being a part of it every single day. So that's what we need to think about. It engages people's spirit. It inspires people to do what they do. It taps into their innate human desire for hope and higher aspirations. All of that is what that vision of what Cabarrus County is and will look like is a part of. And these are just below. I've given you a few examples, and you probably know what all of these are. Kind of vision statements that are pretty inspiring for these. And these are businesses. And you can't run a government like a business. Really, honestly, we know that today, right? But you can't. But still, that doesn't mean that some of the same strategies still apply. They have to have visionary opportunities. A computer on every desk in every home. That was the vision of Microsoft. They've changed that vision. Their vision now is empower everyday person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. What the hell does that mean? There's no computers out there at all, is it? But that's their goal. That's their vision right now. Empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more through their stuff. That's it. That's their goal to make that happen. Their initial one, though, years and years and years ago, was to get a computer on every desk and in every home. And they felt like they made that happen. Attaining everybody in our nation is going to have the opportunity to attain an excellent education. That's Teach for America. That can happen. Everybody in our nation. But that's a goal. That's a vision where everybody gets that opportunity to attain excellent education. A world without Alzheimer's disease. That's the vision, right? When it does not exist anymore. These are all kinds of things that these companies gather around and rally around, and their employees work around, and their customers support when they're part of that process. So look below, these are examples of government vision statements. These are county government vision statements from here in North Carolina and across the United States. I'm not saying these are good or bad, but these just are. And so look at these and look through these. I'm interested to get your opinion on what you think about these kinds of statements, especially when you compare them to the vision statements that are up above. What strikes you about that? Do any of the statements below inspire you? Not that it fully needs to, but other parts of them. What reaches out to you on any of these words on this page? Or do any of them?
Is ours the fourth one?
Ours is on there, yes. And ours is the fourth one, yes.
Except that our citizens participate, not out citizens
Wait, wow.
participate.
Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Duly noted.
Well, I think most of these are trying to be everything for everybody.
Mhm.
We're not.
And what does that mean? Is that a good or bad?
Well, I mean, it's a lofty vision, but I don't think it's based in reality as much. I mean, a vision statement is what I don't know if that's the utopia you want to have. If that's the case, then that's fine to be everything for everybody. But I don't think that that's truly the role of county government, to be everything for everybody.
I mean, can you realistically be everything to everybody?
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But,
Without partnerships, you can't be anything.
but what are you trying to create, though? What is it that, with all these parts and departments in Cabarrus County, what is it that they're trying to create and do? What does that look like? What's the end product? That's the vision.
Well,
I don't know, but it
Yes.
needs to be succinct.
I think the only way to succeed is the collaboration and this, to give that example of the hub, just as a starting point, but there's been so many things that we've done over the years, and we come back with results, but there's some roadblock that's prevented us from moving forward with it, whether it be state legislation, you can't share information, you can't go back to those things, but the bottom line is helping citizens to prosper in a way that is essential for them, not a utopia, but, I mean, you know, the more stuff you have doesn't make you a better person. But the more engaged we are as a community to help each other seems to be where progress can be made, and pulling nonprofits and local governments and businesses together to build Cabarrus County, because it's not just local government, it's not just nonprofits, it's not just the business, it's not just the residents, but we're all so busy, and people, like we were talking about reval this morning, until I get my statement and it tells me what the value of my house is, I don't care about the rest of what you did, but now it affected me. And how do we change that mentality of how does it affect us? Through preaching.
Does any of this inspire you at all? I'm gonna look at you.
She's about to fall asleep.
I mean, the third
You
one,
got 8 minutes.
the third one, you'd quit reading before you got to the end of it. I mean, it's just too long, they're trying to say too much. So it's, I mean, it's a challenge because you gotta say something meaningful in a succinct way. And I mean, well, hats off to whoever wrote the current one. I think ours is pretty fantastic.
I was gonna say, if you read our current one, Which part of that's not covered in the comments that we made that are on these notes? Just every one of them, I think.
Does it depict a compelling alternate to the present? Does it engage people's spirit and passion and what's happening? Does it capture our imagination concerning what's possible here in Cabarrus County?
And that inspiring passion, that's a pretty tall order
It is, isn't it?
for a vision statement.
But that's the purpose of a vision statement, right? The mission statement gets a little bit more specific. That tells us what we're doing.
Right.
But still, yes. But I hear what you're saying. Yes. There's a give and take there. And I agree. I think that the words that are here for the current statement and our current vision, it's there. I mean, yes, it works. And
I'm not saying that it should remain that, but I just thought it was kind of uncanny that we didn't talk about that at all, but yet all those areas are covered.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yes. So you're on the same page in the hymn book. So the good thing is to write a vision statement is like a 3-hour process. Do you want to stay until 7 o'clock? Because I'm happy to do it.
I do.
It's a fun process. It really is.
We want you to stay.
Perhaps if I'd have been here at 8 o'clock this morning, when I had you fresh. But it can happen. And so this is the good part of it, though. We've got some good information from you. You're the start of this, and you're going to wrap it up. You're going to put a big red bow at the very end of it too, which you need to see this timeline so you know what the heck's going on. So where are we in this process right now? There's already been work there. There's work that has already been done without realizing that it's a part of this process. You have already been a part of work that Lauren's helped you through, that we've gathered information already from you on that. But that's not all we're going to get from you. We're working now to compile information from existing work that's been done, the community health assessment, Alps master plan, all these different things. That data has already been gathered, and we get to comb through that to see what do our citizens already think and what has already been compiled in current work in our community that can help to inform where we go next. And then what that's going to do is help us define where our gaps are and who else do we need to talk to make sure we have buy-in and input and representation from everybody, all aspects of Cabarrus County. And so that's what's going to happen after this next process. It's going to take us a couple of months to look through and wade through all that data. And then we're going to start working and having these intentional focus group, for lack of a better term, in our communities, with municipalities, with other boards, our staff here in Cabarrus County, to gather their input to help to inform this process about our needs, what's going well, what could we change, where do they see Cabarrus County in 30, 40, 50 years? What's their vision of this county? Do they even see themselves here at that point in time? Or where about their grandchildren? What would they like for them to live in? That's going to happen at that point in time. And then we'll have an opportunity for department heads and leadership and other folks in the staffing area of Cabarrus County to come together and look at all of that data. And because they're the ones that do the work every day. And so they can take this information and put it into, this is realistic. These are the kinds of things that we do now. These are the kinds of things that we know we can do later and that we can help to address. And to start attaching deliverables and strategies to these kinds of topics and areas. And then we're going to bring it back to you. And your fun part is to look at all of that and to narrow it down to what are our main topics, our main focuses that we're going to work on for the next several years. What is it we really want to put our effort in? And that way the staff will know, it will inform staff and planning their annual action plans and how they do their work. And things will be, lots of measures will be tied to that. And it will help them understand that process, and they'll be tied into it, and they'll buy into that. And all of this will happen before and be ready to go so that when the budget process starts next December, or this December, or next year, it'll be in the plan. And departments will be planning their budgets around these goals that we all have input to develop and that you establish as priorities. and they can tie into that. And there's nobody just doing something that doesn't fit in. And everybody's being intentional about what's happening. That's the plan.
We're pulling the wagon in the same direction.
That's right. And we're all on it. And nobody's gonna knock it over. That's what's gonna happen. Now, will this document at the very end of the day give you say, we are gonna fund things in this order? No. That's not what a strategic plan does. You still have to do that work on your own. There's opportunities for you to decide how you fund things and where those rankings fall. That's an annual thing. But what this does is it helps you provide direction to your staff on the work that they do, so that what they're doing to meet the needs in the community is where you want them to go. That's the purpose. Any questions about how this looks? I have a question for you about, is there a specific group, organization, community that you feel like we need to make sure we include in the focus group process? So somebody that you think we might miss. Go ahead, let me know so that we know. I don't want to come back to you and you're like, well, why the hell did you go talk to those folks? This is what we're going to do right now. Tell me who we need to talk to.
I sometimes wonder if the rapid growing western part of the county, let's say if you include all the municipalities as a group, I'm not sure how connected they are to either Kannapolis or Concord or Harrisburg, for that matter, and I don't know how you. I mean, that's what I've said many times about some folks that live in Harrisburg. The only way they know they live in Cabarrus counties is if their tax bill is escrowed and they don't ever see it, they don't know they live in Cabarrus County. Now, that may be wrong, but so I don't know how you capture those newer members of the community that haven't formed a bond with any of the municipalities.
A lot of the folks out in the Afton area, the folks even further out, Odell.
Right.
Hickory Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we need their involvement, input. I'm not sure how you capture it.
There's opportunity there. There are groups that are already formed in those areas.
Maybe.
We can work into that, yes. But that's good to make sure we know to include that. Be specific in those neighborhoods and those targeted zip codes for that.
Mm-hmm.
Who else, who, is there anybody you think that do you want to make sure we include? You're not going to insult our intelligence by saying somebody that we know we're going to do. We're going to include them, but let me know. If you want to make sure that they're in there, please tell me.
And if you think of it after the fact, you can always email us.
You can.
Now, I don't know how you would include this, or even where to begin, really. But the future of Cabarrus County is in our students, it's in high school today, and in Rowan Community College. How do you draft those people to become a part of our collective future, our vision, their future? How do we get, like for the commission, we have the youth commission. And they have an opportunity. They got their youth commission, and they send a youth commissioner to our meetings every month. And his or her role is to bring us things from the youth commission. So how could we do the same thing with this as far as getting our youth involved in their future in Cabarrus County?
We can do that. It's on the map now.
Future voters?
Yeah, future voters, yeah.
I attended a candidates forum for county commission candidates in this last election, and I heard a lot of discussion from a couple of the candidates about the Logan community. You know, that's just as one example. There are other specific, but do we get an adequate representation of their voice from the city or not? You know, I think that's something we ought to explore.
Okay.
And I just use that as one example. If there are, well, You said Afton, that same thing, you know, that's a
They
kind
get
of,
left out because they're part of a larger group, but they're
right.
not.
I think it also our business community, you know, they need to have a part in, you know, what is going on in Cabarrus County. Because obviously, you know, they're a huge stakeholder in what goes on, and their future workforce and everything is here.
They're there.
And does the chamber fulfill that role or not?
Either
Yeah.
through the chamber
Yeah.
or directly with us.
Right.
You know.
We just spoke with the chamber, we had a presentation at our last department head meeting where they said they can use their platform to get things out to their members, to
Right.
even just like say, hey, we're gonna have a forum at Cabarrus County Government, come and talk
Yeah,
to us.
that may be our way to engage the business community through them.
Also, we attended a strategic planning for Cabarrus County Schools where the chamber was present with the business community and how they are working with the schools. Seeing that first bullet point up there, how they are working so hard, the chamber with the school system to make things happen there. So that's a good one to keep in mind when you're looking at business with education.
All right, we've sung all 12 verses of Just As I Am. I think it's time to call them to close. I really appreciate you sticking with us for this last little bit. I mean, this is a long day for you. You had a lot of financial stuff thrown at you, had a lot of information from the school system, and you're still here, and you're still smiling, and you're still participating, and I'm thankful for that. I'm excited about the process that's going to happen over the next 8 months, 8 to 9 months. And I look forward to coming back to you, giving you updates and asking for your continued input on this and having you own this through the whole process. This is as transparent as it can ever be. So don't feel like we're hiding anything from you. If you need to know where we are and what's going on, let me know. I can bring lots of reports and share at every work meeting if that's what you want me to do, but I don't think that's going to happen. Questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to working with you. I believe you're done.
We are done. Any questions, comments from the board? We changed the format a little bit on the presentations from the schools. So it engaged conversation, so I'm taking that as a positive.
I thought that was much better than just
Yeah.
listening to, here's what we need and here's how much it cost.
Great. And let's see. Thank you, all of you, for your kind words about staff, and thank you for the allowing the merits and the COLA to continue this year. We will pass that along. You have made 1,200 individuals very happy and appreciative, and they know how much you guys appreciate it because we preach it to them every time we talk to them. So thank you for that. And it sounds like you guys got a good start today. We purposely stayed out of it so you guys could talk. We will be interjecting our comments more and more often throughout the process. But so we got 8 months. 8 months to get it in, get it done correctly, and be better for it on the other side. And I know we've already introduced it to the rest of the staff that you are going to be doing this. So I think we've been limping along with performance standards for 3 or 4 years now and struggling just because they're tough to do, but then also struggling because they're divisions all over the place, or the needs were so much we were trying to plug holes. So I think they're going to be more excited about actually having that direction and being part of the plan. So good stuff. Thank you again for enduring this day and a half. And I know these processes are not always fun. They're tough. They pull feelings out of you that you're not always willing to give or feeling comfortable to give. But I think this is only the beginning, so don't close down for us. So with that, I think we're done. Anybody?
Thank you for the food, Lauren.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good cook.
She made it just.
So I think we probably need to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn this 2019 planning retreat. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We stand adjourned, but that doesn't mean you have to leave. You can stay.
I'm a hu-
Game starts at 6.